Hello, welcome to the Art Workshop. My name is Christopher Epling. We really appreciate you tuning in today here on Pike TV. A big thanks to Tim and Brad, the folks who make this show possible, and all their hard work. Without them, none of this would ever happen. I'm just here to draw, and I love it. It's a great opportunity. So if you like to draw, or if you, let's just say you sort of like to draw, or you've drawn in the past, maybe you don't so much today or nowadays, this is the show really for you, because I'm learning how to draw right along with you. I'm not an expert by any means. I don't consider myself one, but I do work professionally in the field. So this is something that I do every day of my life, and so I'm continuously learning. I'm continuously finding new techniques and new motivations and inspirations for my art. So you are really just taking this journey with me. If you like the show and you watch the show, that's what's really happening here. So it's really special, and I'm really happy that we're able to do this. Today we're focusing on something that's a little different in a sense that it's the same but different, because we're talking about graphic design. Now, the Art Workshop is a broad range of content. We have a humongous focus area that we're looking at. Art. We could focus on acrylic painting, watercolor, pen and ink. We've done all that too, except for acrylic. The paintings aspect is something we're still, maybe down the road, we'll focus on. But we've touched base on a lot of different mediums and a lot of different techniques in the show. I think it's important also with the Art Workshop is to look at graphic design. What is graphic design? What does it mean to be a graphic designer? Graphic design by definition, and I actually have it here, and this is the actual definition for graphic design. It's the art or skill of combining text and pictures in advertisements, magazines, or books. Graphic design. Now think about that for a second. The art or technique and skill of combining pictures and text to have an image that people will look at, and automatically they know what the image represents. It could be from pop culture, it could be from advertising and business, it could be a broad range of different things. But we're going to focus on comics, which is really my background, and this is a big nerd alert here for this episode, because we are going to focus on one particular comic character because of the color that this character is made up of. Graphic design is bright, it's very, it catches the eye, it's something that when you look at it, you want to look at it more. That's the goal for graphic design. And comic artists use graphic design in order to do just that. I brought a few examples with me today that I'd like to show you out of a book called Comics Fever. And this is really a book or a collection on graphic design with comics. So we're combining those two things. We're combining graphic design and comics. And I've marked a few sections. Now, in art, if you are an artist, or let's say you've looked at wanting to draw before in the past, you know anatomy is important. Anatomy, because when you draw a figure that looks like a human, you want to know where muscles connect, where bones are attached, things of that nature. This artist is named Chris Panda. Chris Panda, his specialty is drawing very recognizable cartoon characters and showing the skeletal structure that's actually would be making up that character. It's really interesting. So what you see in red is actually the bone structure of Popeye. What you see in black is the cartoon character we've all grown to know and love, and he has more examples in this book, and I'll share a couple more with you. Graphic design is this. So we're taking a notable character that we know from pop culture, and we're making art from it that's catchy and interesting. Here we have Donald Duck, so if you ever wondered what Donald Duck's skeletal system would look like, Chris Panda is trying to show you. And a couple more here, of course, Batman, and then we have also, I think, what was her name? I can't think. Oh my goodness! She's from what is it? Cinderella. I'm gonna get emails about this. Maleficent. Anyway, you know which character this is. Maleficent. Thank you, Tim. Thank you so much. The director and producer Tim just carried it out. So now I won't get emails. Right. And this is, of course, Batman. And let's move on. We got a couple more examples. Now this is super interesting. A lot of times in my art workshop, I'll actually tell students, look, everything you see, all of these characters, all of these drawings, they're made up of basic shapes. So if you arrange these basic shapes in a certain order, you're going to get a character from it, or whatever it is you're trying to achieve. So this particular artist is named Marcus Hofko, and what he specializes in is breaking down a design into its simplest structure, simplest forms. Here's Mickey Mouse. So you see, all we really need to create Mickey Mouse is a round circle, a couple more circles, a few ovals, another oval, and a few more shapes, and you put those together in a certain way, and you have, of course, Mickey Mouse. Then we also have graphic design that focuses on just using images and shapes in a certain way that you look at it and you recognize what that is automatically, such as this. This is characters. This is Rex Koo. That he creates notable comic characters in these interesting shapes and assortments of different shapes to create characters. So you can see easily this is Joker, Catwoman, Batman, Robin, the Riddler, the Penguin, and these are all created out of these just strange shapes. Now, if I were to show you this arranged in a different way, you maybe will not tell what it is, but arranged in this particular shape, in this style, you can see the characters that this artist is wanting to create. Now, the other focus, and this is what we're really focusing on today, is using color in an interesting way to show or share an idea or a topic or a subject or a character. And the character is what we're focusing on today. This particular artist is actually a company here. So it's a Forma & Company, and what they specialize in is taking notable characters from the comic line industry, Marvel, DC, Image, all these publishing companies in comics, and they take characters from their lines and they show these characters in these interesting ways where it contrasts color. So for instance, look at the Incredible Hulk here. On this side, we know the Incredible Hulk is usually green, and so the background is red. But what happens when we flip that? We can see the difference in what color does. Color brings emotion out as well. If you think about also, it's something well known that artists will actually, or not artists, but I mean designers for businesses, they will actually use certain colors. So when you go into a store, certain colors actually bring out different needs and emotions in us. So we may go into a store that's full of purple colors, and purple may bring comfort or some sort of peace or calm to a person. So when you go in, you're very peaceful and calm, and you're more likely to go around and shop and spend money that way. You don't really get nervous spending a lot of money in a store that's completely purple. I would, but some people don't. So here's an example of Superman. We have no eyes, we have no nose, no mouth, but you can see by just arranging these shapes, we have an image that we know when we look at. That's Superman. Graphic design at its best does this. Images, colors, shapes that embed itself into pop culture and culture in general. Those things are at the highest and the perfect example of graphic design. Now for our little exercise today, what we're going to do, we're going to be taking a character from this pop culture fever here that we have. This is the Vision. Now, the background for the Vision is really interesting, and I don't even want to try to get into the background of the character. I'm just going to say this much about him so that if you're not familiar with comics, you'll know a little bit about who this character is. Okay, so Vision started out as an android, to be more specific, a synthezoid, okay, created by the villain Ultron. In the movie, if you've watched the recent movies, you will know that Jarvis was a computer program created by Tony Stark, who is Iron Man, and somehow this synthezoid gets embedded with this personality of Jarvis, and now we have the Vision. I know, totally complicated, geeking out a little bit, apologize, but that's the background. The focus, though, the important part for us today is look at the colors used. The background's red, we have these greens and oranges, all of these colors. Look at the different hues of color, too. We've talked about that. From dark green, a mid-tone of green to a light green. Same thing with the yellow here. Same thing with the red. It goes from light to dark. I wouldn't try to capture that today, in a sense, by doing an exercise with you. So I would need you to grab a pencil, an eraser, and what we're going to do, we're going to sketch this out together. I've already have a baseline of what we're doing. You can see this image sort of resembles this image. So if you sketch this out with me, and then we're going to color. I'm going to be using Crayola markers today. Nothing fancy, good old Crayola. These are washable markers, but I found that they absolutely are just wonderful for getting all these different hues of color that we want to see and we can see in the vision here. So let's sketch this out, and then after we sketch it, I'm going to speed draw and I'm going to color. You can follow along with me this way. First, pencil this in and then color with whatever colors you have. You can use crayons, you can use markers if you have markers. You can follow along with me through the speed color this time process, okay? So the first thing you want to do to draw the vision is you want to actually make a circle. So we're going to draw a circle. I'm going to press down a little hard over top of what I've drawn already. You can see that here. So that circle is what you need first, okay? Draw the circle the best you can. Once you have the circle, what I need you to do is come over on this side of the circle and draw a straight line coming down. Go on to the other side of the circle and draw a straight line coming down, okay? So you can see it's a circle, two straight lines, okay? Then from there, what I want you to do is I want you to go to the top and I want you to draw a line going down, which will be the center point of the face of vision. You can see how I've made this center line going down the circle. Go back up here to the top and you can see how that works, okay? This is where all the features of the face will take place, right? Go over to the opposite side of the circle now, and I want you to draw a line that goes up and then down, connecting into the middle of this line that you've drawn already on the face. You already have it there, okay? So you have these two arches. Now following down the center that you created, you're going to make this symbol here like a triangle, okay? This is making up the uniform for vision, that is his costume. Going over to the right side of the circle now, we're going to go down, back in, okay? See how I did that? I came down and back in, following the circle. You know the line that you created, we're going to follow that now. But we're going to add a few features into this that weren't there before. So you drew a straight line before, now we're drawing this feature coming in. So you had the straight line coming down, now we're going to just build on top of that. That's our framework, and we drew this down to the chin, okay? This line that you created, this arch, this continues. This continues down and then connects with the chin at the bottom, okay? Once you have this, we can work on the actual features of the face. In the middle of the face, we have the nose. So you're going to follow the line you created, you're going to come down, and you're going to draw the nose. The nose comes out like this, just looks like the letter L, backwards letter L, okay? Then we're going to draw the features of the nose. And what we have is the nostril on this side here, and then we can see a little bit of the nostril on the other side there, right? Just below the nose, we have the mouth, right? This line that we created is going to guide us as where the mouth is going to be positioned. Come down just below the nose, and you're going to draw just this shape coming over for the mouth. One line first, okay? Then you're going to draw the bottom line coming down. These are the lips. This will be the lips for the vision, okay? The version of the vision, as you can see over here, he has his mouth open. He looks pretty angry, so that's what we're going to try to do. Okay, we have the teeth now, okay? Upper part there, just a line coming back. There's the top row, and then we have the bottom row. You notice from our example over here, these teeth are a little more defined. You can actually see individual tooth there, and we're going to make that shape over here as well, okay? So we have what we can see as being the bottom row of teeth right here. Now, once we have that, we can actually start working on the eyes. Come back up, go just above where you started with the nose, and you're going to draw a couple lines coming down on each side of this line, making up the top part of the nose. Now, continue with this line and come out, go towards where the ear would be over here, where your circle stopped. You're going to do the same thing on this side. Come out with this line. Those two lines help guide where the eyes will be positioned. So just below this, you're going to go ahead and sketch in the eyes. So that'll be here, also an eye here, okay? So now we have about everything we need to go ahead and finish up for the body. Come below here, just below the chin, draw a couple lines coming down, okay? Go back over to this point. Now notice where this point is. Comes around right here where your line started coming down from your circle. And you're going to draw this section coming out, which will be the ear. Okay? Just draw a line like this representing where the ear will be. Okay? Going just below the chin again, we have this making up the cape of the vision. So what we want to do for this, all these lines coming out, we need to create those. So you come just below the chin, and now you're going to start to draw these lines coming out from this one point that you have just below the chin. And this will come all out like this in various angles. See, there's about 4 or 5 lines. Yours does not have to be exactly like mine. Just be sure and add a few lines coming out towards the edge of the cape out here, which is this series of just humps and bumps making up that portion, okay? So now we have the cape. Now on this side, the cape is larger because of perspective, which is something we've covered before. So we want to bring a line going out, just like we did for the opposite side. This line here, this line's larger, perspective. It's closer to us. Then we're going to go ahead and draw another line coming out. See the series of lines we have here? Same thing. So we do that on this side, okay? So now we have the cape. Go up to the portion of the ear again, the line that you drew coming down from the circle, okay? And draw a little bit more of a bend to this line, representing the back of the head or the neck, okay? Now, this portion here of the cape that comes out, this is really easy. Just go up and then bring it down. That's the cape in the back flowing, right? Now we have the chest. The chest, we should start first with this giant diamond shape here. And what will happen with that is that it comes down, 2 lines coming down from this point we started at with the cape, right? And then 2 lines coming down from that. So that makes up the diamond. Work on the chest and shoulder areas now. First, starting over here, we can see this shape coming out a little bit from behind him, perspective again. Okay, now we have his chest coming down, so we want to draw this line, chest. Over here, we have a few lines that are represented in green. Okay, we want to be sure and get those in so when we start to color in a little bit, we know where these shapes are. Okay, so you're going to draw a series of a few lines coming out like this, representing this other portion of his body on this side of his chest, just like that. Now we can see a portion of his shoulder here. So all that is just backwards letter C, and then another backwards letter C, and that's really all we need at this point right now for the shoulder. Everything is on here now that we need to start coloring, except for drawing out and a little bit harder when pushing down with your line, and finish the top of his head, coming down and stopping here. Great. We should have everything that we need now, except for his tongue. Okay, there we go. To start coloring, right? We have all the different features we could see over here. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to color, and what I want you to do before we start speed coloring is actually focus on a few things. If you have a large range of options like this in this Crayola kit, pull out the colors that you're going to be using, okay? So start matching these colors up. And if you don't have a broad range of colors, you can just color with 2 tones. So usually in a crayon box, you'll have at least 2 different hues of a color. This luckily has a broad range of stuff. So I know I'm going to be using green, so I may match this up a little bit. Pulling out your colors and getting them ready prior to starting helps a lot. So that covers the green area, right? All right, so I'll put these off to the side. I have my green covered. Now I'm going to focus on the yellow. Right here, I have an assortment of yellow, so I'm going to pull those out and try to match and see if this actually matches up pretty good. And you can put it up to your actual reference piece and see. That looks pretty good, so I'll pull those to the side. Now I'm going to look at the face. The face looks like there's red. I can see here red, maybe some pink. It looks like I have these already available for me. Also, whenever you use, if you have a kit like this, when you pull colors out, put them back in the same way that you take them out. And what will happen is you'll keep this range so it's easy to pull colors that you need. So this is about what we need for the face. I think we're good on that. Now the background of this is all one solid color. We probably won't paint the entire background for this piece. We may go around the border of it, and it looks like it's an actual hue of one of the colors we already pulled out. So I think we're ready to go. We have all the colors that we're going to be needing over here. Okay, and then I think we may use, here's looks like it's a little bit of a darker green. I may pull that one out just in case too. Now what I could do is take all of these colors and put them over to the side. I won't be needing much of these, if any of these. Maybe a pink. I'm always just making sure. And since we have all the colors we're going to be using, now what I want to do is jump into the speed coloring portion of this. If you have an ink pen at home, a felt tip marker, if it's a fine tip, then you can trace over the outline of this, but I'm going to wait till the very end to do that, all right? All right, so let's get started with the speed coloring portion of the, oh, one thing before we start. When using your colors and applying your colors, always go light to dark. And what I mean by that is, here we have an assortment of yellow, right? From a light hue and continuing till we get darker. Be sure, go from light to dark with your coloring. You can follow along with me and see how I do this, but now we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, everybody, so if you could see now how these markers have turned out, I'll be honest with you, I was a little less than impressed with it. Definitely not Copic markers or something that you would see with a good quality marker where the colors blend in and there's a smooth application of the color. You can see my lines here coming in on all these different shapes that I've put in, and well, that's something that Copic markers and markers like that, they will not do. So, but you know, for the purpose of this, I think it's important to show that you can pull an effect off, similar to something that you would see in a graphic design aspect of a character such as the vision. I think it's important to show that. So let's keep that in mind, this is something you can do from home. If you have markers, you can pull this look off. You do not need fancy markers to, you know, create something cool like this. So let's keep that in mind. So as we're finishing up here, we have just a few minutes left. What I'm going to do is actually trace over this while I'm talking to you about a few more things. And you can trace over yours too. All you need is a black felt marker, something like a Sharpie, and you'll be able to do this from home, no problem. Now you notice that I've left a little bit of white in here. That's just really something that I've learned from watercoloring, that you always leave a little bit of white. So that's the reason that I've done that. Also, it breaks up the borders pretty good, so you can see one aspect of the drawing from the other aspect of the drawing. So now I'm just tracing over my pencil lines that I created early on, and what I may end up doing is putting a little bit more black in here for some shadowing. I think that might help it look a little bit better. I don't know, we'll see. But you know, this proves it. So let's say at home you have like crayons even. Crayons I think would actually even work better than these markers did. It may be because these are washable markers. That probably had something to do with it. Washable markers, you know, obviously from what the name of the product is, they're not, you know, very thick pigment in these, so you know, that way that you can wash them off stuff if a child was to maybe go and put a big drawing on a wall or underneath the coffee table like I did a lot growing up, and maybe they get in trouble for it. Well, if you have washable markers, then it's something you can easily remedy with a little bit of water and maybe some soap, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just finish up a few more little line work here, and you know, always put your name on your drawing. That's important. So I think that overall, would I recommend these if you were to, let's say, have if you were to have a commission piece, something that you're getting paid for, and I would not recommend these markers. However, if you're at home and this is all you have, Crayola markers at your disposal, then you know what? Use those, because you can create a character using graphic design aspects such as this out of those markers. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I hope that if you've gotten a lot out of it, want to be sure and ask everybody who's tuned in, if you have drawings that you've done, you could go to www.theholler.org and look for the Art Gallery Workshop, and you can post those to the Holler, and we'll share those here on the show, or you can email me at eplingillustrations@gmail.com. And you can email me your artwork. if you have any questions, maybe you have a question about one of the products that you've seen or a technique that you've seen here on the show, write to me and I will read your question on the air and then address it and hopefully answer it and do my best to. So thank you again for tuning in. Thank you so much to Pike TV, for Tim and Brad, for all their hard work for making this show possible. And until next show, I'm Christopher Epling, and keep drawing.